The alien princess refused the ruthless human until she saw him for herself. Towering crystal-like structures rose from the ground, reflecting sunlight in patterns that made the city look like a jewel. From afar, it seemed almost magical, untouched by the usual chaos that marked so many other worlds. A massive ship appeared on the horizon, cutting through the clouds with a soft hum that resonated across the planet's atmosphere. It was human in design, sleek and practical, with an unmistakable elegance. The Lithurians, who were accustomed to the natural beauty of their home, paused to watch this foreign vessel descend. Whispers rippled through the palace halls. In the palace, Princess Serenia looked down from her balcony. She was tall, graceful, with eyes the color of her planet's oceans. Her long silver hair glimmered in the sunlight, and the jewels on her robes reflected tiny rainbows across the marble floor. She had heard of humans before, stories from merchants, travelers, and ambassadors who warned of their ruthless nature. They said humans conquered worlds, fought wars, and cared little for lives beyond their own. Serenia had never met a human before. She trusted the wisdom of her advisors, but curiosity stirred within her. How could a species so feared be allowed to travel freely to Lithuria? Why now, in a time when her planet had enjoyed centuries of peace, did a human ship arrive? "Your Highness," a soft voice said. It was her aide, Leora. "The ship has landed. They are preparing a landing party." Serenia nodded, her expression calm but thoughtful. "I will meet them. I must see for myself what sort of creatures these humans truly are." Meanwhile, on the ship, Commander Ethan Drake watched Lithuria grow larger on the view screen. Humans had been exploring the galaxy for decades, but few worlds were as fascinating as this one. The reports were full of admiration. A peaceful planet with incredible technology and a society that valued knowledge and art above all. Ethan was a tall man, with dark hair that curled slightly at the ends and eyes that held a sharp intelligence. He carried himself with a quiet confidence, a leader who did not need to shout to be heard. His reputation, however, had preceded him. Across several systems, he was known as brilliant, relentless, and sometimes ruthless in achieving his goals. These stories, of course, were often exaggerated or misunderstood. As the ship's landing gear touched the ground, the humans prepared to step onto Lithuria for the first time. Engineers adjusted the thrusters, and scientists checked their equipment. Ethan took a deep breath, knowing that first impressions mattered. Humans had a history of being judged harshly, and he intended to prove that they were more than the rumors suggested. The landing platform unfolded, revealing a sleek ramp that connected the ship to the planet below. Lithurian officials, dressed in flowing robes of blue and silver, waited to greet them. Among them, Princess Serenia stood tall, her expression unreadable. The ramp lowered with a soft hiss, and Ethan was the first to step down. He paused for a moment, taking in the scenery. The air smelled fresh, tinged with floral notes he could not identify. The Lithurians were unlike any beings he had encountered. Their skin had a faint shimmer, their movements elegant and fluid, almost as if gravity were lighter for them. "Greetings, Princess Serenia," Ethan said, bowing slightly. "I am Commander Ethan Drake of the United Human Exploration Fleet. It is an honor to meet you." Serenia's eyes studied him carefully. He was not like the stories she had heard. He did not exude arrogance, nor did he carry the aura of someone who would impose his will by force. He seemed genuine. "You may rise, Commander," she said, her voice calm, yet carrying the weight of authority. "You come to Lithuria claiming peace. Do your people always treat other worlds with respect?" Ethan smiled softly. "Our species is capable of many things, Your Highness. Some of us have erred in the past, as every civilization does. But we also learn. We come here to observe, to understand, and to share knowledge, not to take." Serenia tilted her head, intrigued by his words. They were honest, without the polish of flattery or diplomacy. "We will see if your actions match your words," she replied. The Lithurian aides motioned for the humans to follow them into the palace gardens. The gardens were vast, filled with plants that moved subtly as if responding to the presence of life. Streams of sparkling water meandered through the walkways, and the air was filled with the soft hum of alien insects and birds. As they walked, Ethan noticed the care with which the Lithurians tended to their world. Every plant, every structure seemed designed not just for function, but for beauty. He gestured toward a small fountain, its water forming shapes in the air before falling into the basin below. "Your people are remarkable," he said quietly. "The harmony here, it is inspiring." Serenia allowed herself a small smile. Lithurians value balance. We live with our world, not against it. Humans, I am curious how you live with yours. Ethan's gaze softened. We are learning. Some humans care deeply, some less so. But I hope that by exploring and understanding worlds like yours, we can learn better ways to live. The princess considered him carefully. There was no hint of flattery, no attempt to impress her. His words were thoughtful, deliberate, and sincere. Perhaps the stories she had been told were incomplete. As they approached the central pavilion, a sudden alarm echoed across the palace grounds. A small transport drone had malfunctioned, threatening to spill its delicate cargo into the gardens. Ethan reacted instinctively, sprinting forward with precision. He adjusted the drone's controls remotely, stabilizing it and preventing damage. Serenia watched, surprised. Humans were supposed to be reckless and destructive, yet here he was, calmly preventing a problem without panic or force. The palace aides exchanged glances, whispering amongst themselves. "Commander Drake," she said once the situation was under control, "you handle problems differently than I expected." Ethan shrugged modestly. "We do what we can. Sometimes patience and care are more effective than strength." For the first time, Serenia felt her curiosity overpower her caution. Perhaps humans were not what she had been warned to expect. Perhaps there was more to them than tales of ruthlessness. The tour of the gardens continued, and Ethan asked questions about Lithurian culture, art, and science. His interest seemed genuine, and he listened attentively to every answer. When a young Lithurian engineer explained a new water filtration system, Ethan asked insightful questions that revealed his understanding of engineering principles. He even suggested an idea to improve efficiency, which the engineer later admitted she had never considered. Serenia observed quietly. Humans could indeed be ruthless, as the rumors claimed, but Ethan demonstrated another side entirely. He was curious, intelligent, patient, and respectful. These qualities were just as powerful as strength or aggression, she realized, and perhaps even more dangerous to preconceptions. By the time the sun began to set over Lithuria's twin horizons, casting long shadows across the crystal towers, the humans had been invited to a ceremonial dinner. Serenia sat across from Ethan, still cautious, still observing, but no longer with complete suspicion. "You have a calm presence," she said. "I expected someone bolder, more forceful." Ethan smiled. "And I expected someone more fearful of us. It seems we have both underestimated the other." For the first time, Serenia laughed softly, a sound like the ripple of water across stone. It was a sound that made her aides smile, a rare moment of warmth in the palace halls. Perhaps, she thought, understanding begins not with fear, but with observation. The dinner continued with stories, laughter, and shared ideas. Humans and Lithurians exchanged knowledge about their respective technologies, philosophies, and arts. Ethan spoke of the stars humans had visited, the challenges they faced, and the lessons they had learned. Serenia listened, intrigued. By the end of the evening, one thing was clear. Humans were not a single story of conquest or destruction. They were complicated, full of contradictions, capable of both error and brilliance. Ethan, in particular, embodied qualities that challenged the very notion of what a ruthless human could be. As the guests departed, Serenia gazed out at the stars rising over Lithuria. She thought of the humans now resting in their ship, preparing for the days ahead. She felt a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. If this human was only the first glimpse, what could the rest of his species reveal? And somewhere deep inside, a quiet thought took hold. Perhaps the galaxy was ready for a new understanding between humans and Lithurians. Perhaps, with patience and observation, trust could grow where fear had once dominated. For the first time, Princess Serenia wondered not what humans were capable of, but what humans, and maybe even herself, could achieve together. The morning sun rose over Lithuria, casting long beams of gold and pink across the crystal towers. Birds with translucent wings glided through the air, singing notes that mingled with the gentle hum of the palace gardens. The air was crisp, carrying the soft scent of flowering trees and the fresh tang of the ocean nearby. Princess Serenia stood on her balcony, overlooking the gardens where humans had spent the night. From this height, she could see the humans moving carefully among the plants, inspecting their instruments and speaking quietly with Lithurian aides. She observed Ethan Drake closely, wondering how a being so different from her people could inspire curiosity rather than fear. "Your Highness," Leora said softly, stepping beside her. "The humans are preparing for the tour today." They requested to see the Lithurian library and the Chamber of Knowledge. Serenia nodded. "Very well, I will accompany them. I wish to see for myself if their interest is genuine or if it is mere curiosity for conquest and power." Ethan, unaware of the princess's private observations, was already walking among the Lithurian engineers. He moved with calm efficiency, offering advice when necessary and asking questions with genuine interest. His presence had a subtle effect on the Lithurians. They seemed to open up, sharing insights and ideas freely. The Lithurian library was a magnificent structure, unlike anything humans had built. Its walls were made of transparent crystal, revealing thousands of shelves filled with floating scrolls, glowing tablets, and delicate manuscripts. Every surface shimmered faintly, reflecting the knowledge stored within. The ceiling high above was an intricate network of energy filaments that pulsed with light, displaying images of history, science, and art. As Ethan entered, he paused in awe. Humans had libraries, yes, but nothing like this. The technology and artistry were beyond anything he had imagined. He turned to Serenia. "This is remarkable," he said quietly. "Your people have preserved knowledge in a way that is both beautiful and functional. I have never seen anything like it." Serenia studied him carefully. He did not speak like someone who wanted to boast or claim superiority. His admiration was sincere. "You may learn if you are willing," she said, "but knowledge is not only in books. It is in the way you understand, interpret, and apply it." Ethan nodded, respecting her words. "I understand, Princess. We humans often rush past what we could learn if we only took the time." They walked through the library, moving past holographic displays and hovering scrolls. Ethan asked questions about Lithurian history, their achievements in science, and their philosophy of living in balance with nature. Each answer he received was met with further curiosity rather than judgment. Serenia observed his reactions carefully. Where other humans might have been impressed and sought to claim or use the knowledge for gain, Ethan seemed genuinely interested in understanding. He asked thoughtful questions, engaged respectfully, and even paused to appreciate the artistry of the manuscripts. At one point, a young Lithurian scholar approached, nervous but excited. She carried a small device she had been developing, one that could store and transmit energy more efficiently. "Princess Serenia," she said softly, "this device is still in testing. I am unsure if it will function properly." Ethan knelt to her level, examining the device carefully. "May I try?" he asked gently. The scholar nodded, and Ethan adjusted a few settings. Within moments, the device hummed to life, operating exactly as intended. "It's brilliant," he said with a warm smile. "You've designed it thoughtfully. With a small adjustment here, it could store even more energy." The young scholar's eyes widened. "You really think so?" "I do," Ethan replied. "You have talent and creativity. Never stop exploring your ideas." Serenia's eyes narrowed slightly, though not in anger. She had expected humans to take control, to assert dominance. Instead, Ethan had encouraged the young Lithurian, respecting her work without overshadowing it. "Your people are different from what I expected," Serenia said quietly, almost to herself. Ethan looked up. "Different can be good," he said simply. After the library, they moved to the Chamber of Knowledge, a vast hall where Lithurian scientists displayed experiments and inventions. Machines floated in midair, simulations ran on thin beams of energy, and holographic diagrams explained complex processes. Ethan moved carefully, studying each display and asking questions that showed both intelligence and curiosity. Serenia observed how the Lithurians responded to him. They were cautious at first, hesitant to share their work. But his patience and genuine interest quickly won them over. He praised their achievements honestly, suggested small improvements respectfully, and listened more than he spoke. By the end of the tour, the Lithurians were smiling, relaxed, and openly discussing their work with him. At lunch, the humans and Lithurians gathered in a glass pavilion overlooking a serene lake. The water reflected the twin suns, and floating platforms held flowers that glowed faintly in the sunlight. The meal was a mixture of human and Lithurian cuisine, carefully prepared to respect both cultures. Serenia took a seat across from Ethan, observing him quietly as he sampled the food. He complimented the flavors politely, noting differences and similarities with human dishes. He asked questions about the ingredients, their origins, and the cultural significance of the recipes. "You show respect for our ways," Serenia said. "Many humans would not notice such details." Ethan smiled. "I believe that understanding begins with respect. Without it, knowledge is shallow and connections are weak." Serenia felt a flicker of admiration. His words were not just polite, they reflected his character. She realized that humans, at their best, were capable of thoughtfulness, creativity, and care, qualities that her people valued greatly. After lunch, Ethan suggested a small demonstration of human technology. He activated a portable energy shield, projecting a shimmering barrier around a small section of the pavilion. The Lithurians gasped in wonder. The shield was efficient, elegant, and entirely non-invasive, a perfect example of human ingenuity applied thoughtfully. "This could protect delicate experiments without harming the environment," Ethan explained. "It is designed to work in harmony, not to dominate." Serenia studied him closely. She had expected arrogance, perhaps even recklessness, but he had shown neither. His intelligence was paired with empathy and consideration, a combination she had rarely encountered in tales about humans. Later, as the group walked through the palace gardens again, a playful challenge arose. A group of young Lithurians proposed a race across a garden bridge suspended over a sparkling waterfall. Ethan accepted, smiling, and joined the race with grace and humor. He did not seek to win at all costs. He encouraged the children, laughing with them and showing patience when one of the young Lithurians stumbled. Serenia watched silently, her perception shifting further. Humans could indeed be ruthless, as rumors claimed, but they could also be kind, clever, and inspiring. Perhaps the stories she had been told were only a part of the truth, shaped by fear and misunderstanding. As the day ended, Ethan and his team were invited to a small gathering in the palace observatory. The observatory's dome opened to reveal the night sky, filled with countless stars and the gentle glow of Lithuria's twin moons. Ethan pointed to a distant star cluster. "Humanity dreams of the stars," he said. "Not to conquer them, but to understand, to explore, and to connect. Knowledge is the bridge between worlds." Serenia listened, her expression thoughtful. For the first time, she considered that humans might not be the single story she had been told. They were complex, capable of error, yes, but also capable of brilliance, empathy, and creativity. As the observatory lights dimmed, she found herself asking a quiet question. Could humans and Lithurians work together? Could understanding replace suspicion? She did not yet have an answer, but one thing was clear. Ethan Drake was not the human she had feared. He was something entirely different, and she wanted to see more. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging the possibility of a new beginning, one where humans and Lithurians could meet as equals, sharing knowledge, ideas, and perhaps even friendship. And for the first time, Princess Serenia felt that the stories of humans being ruthless might be just stories, not reality. The morning air over Lithuria was filled with a soft golden light, the twin suns casting warmth over the crystalline towers. Princess Serenia moved through the palace corridors with measured steps, her mind preoccupied. The humans had already proven themselves curious, respectful, and intelligent, but she could not ignore her advisors' warnings. Humans were unpredictable, and even the kindest species could make mistakes. "Your Highness," Leora said quietly as she approached, "there has been a minor issue at the public archives. A group of your citizens is confused by the humans' instruments. They fear the devices might disrupt our energy flow." Serenia frowned slightly, her eyes narrowing in thought. "I see. We must address this carefully. Misunderstandings grow quickly if not handled with care. I will speak with Commander Drake myself." Meanwhile, Ethan Drake and his team were already in the archives, examining Lithuria's energy distribution system. The humans' instruments were designed to measure and record data without interference, but the Lithurians were unfamiliar with the technology. Small alerts and readings were misinterpreted as faults, causing worry among the Lithurian assistants. Ethan noticed the tension immediately. He approached the nearest Lithurian engineer, bowing slightly. "I hope we have not caused concern," he said softly. "Please explain what worries you, and I will do my best to clarify." The engineer hesitated, unsure if the human would understand. "Your instruments, they seem to change the energy flow in this section. We fear it may damage the systems." Ethan smiled gently. I assure you they are passive. They only observe and record. Nothing will be harmed. May I demonstrate? He adjusted the devices carefully, showing how they operated without altering the energy streams. Gradually, the Lithurians' apprehension eased. Small smiles appeared, replaced by curiosity as they asked questions and received clear, patient explanations. From the balcony above, Serenia observed the scene. Ethan did not assert control, nor did he dismiss the Lithurians' concerns. Instead, he guided them through understanding, encouraging their input and respecting their knowledge. She felt a growing admiration for his approach. Humans could be rash, yes, but this human showed patience, empathy, and intelligence. Just as the tension seemed to ease, a small mishap occurred. One of the younger Lithurian apprentices accidentally activated a device incorrectly, triggering a bright energy pulse. The room filled with light and a soft hum, startling everyone. The Lithurians gasped, stepping back nervously. Ethan's team reacted instantly, carefully stabilizing the device. No damage occurred, and within moments, the energy pulse returned to normal levels. Serenia stepped forward from the balcony, her presence commanding attention. "Commander Drake, are your people unharmed?" she asked, her voice calm but authoritative. Ethan bowed slightly. "Yes, Your Highness, we are unharmed, and the system is fully operational." Serenia's eyes studied him. The young apprentice looked nervous, expecting reprimand or anger. But Ethan only smiled gently and said, "Mistakes happen. What matters is that we learn from them." The apprentice's face lit up with relief, and the Lithurians exchanged glances of surprise. Humans rarely handled errors with such calm. Most tales portrayed them as aggressive or impatient, yet Ethan's reaction demonstrated the opposite. After the minor incident, the group settled in a quiet observation area. Serencia joined them, taking a seat beside Ethan. "Your response was unexpected," she said softly. "I thought humans reacted differently to mistakes, loudly perhaps or with frustration." Ethan shook his head gently. "Some humans, yes, but others we strive to understand first to learn from each situation. Reaction without thought solves nothing. Cooperation, patience, and curiosity, these guide us more than fear or anger." Serenia considered his words carefully. They were not empty promises. His actions had demonstrated their truth. Perhaps humans were not as one-dimensional as history and rumors suggested. As the day progressed, Ethan suggested a collaborative experiment to demonstrate how human and Lithurian technology could work together. He proposed enhancing a section of Lithuria's energy network using a combination of human sensors and Lithurian power conductors. The Lithurians were hesitant at first. They worried that outsiders might disrupt their systems or make irreversible changes. Serencia watched as Ethan knelt beside their engineers, explaining every step patiently, answering every question without condescension. "Notice," he said softly, "this adjustment does not change your energy flow. It only measures efficiency and helps identify areas where your system can work even better. Nothing is permanent unless you approve it." The engineers began to understand, and slowly they agreed to collaborate. Machines hummed gently as human and Lithurian devices synced, sharing data and adjusting flows. The energy grid became more efficient, and even minor fluctuations were resolved quickly. Watching this, Serencia realized something profound. Humans, when guided by curiosity and respect, could enhance knowledge and capability without imposing themselves. Ruthlessness, she began to see, was a choice, not an inevitable trait. Later, a Lithurian council member approached Serenia privately. "Your Highness," he whispered nervously, "I am concerned. Some citizens still question these humans. Perhaps it would be wise to restrict their access until we are sure they can be trusted." Serenia shook her head. "No. Observation and engagement will teach them, and us, more than fear ever could. Commander Drake has shown patience, intelligence, and care. If we shield our people from learning, we risk remaining ignorant ourselves." Even so, a part of her remained cautious. Humans were unpredictable. One day of cooperation could not erase centuries of cautionary tales. She needed to see more, to understand more, before making a decision about trust. That evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon, the humans were invited to a ceremonial garden gathering. Lanterns floated above the paths, casting soft light across the pools and trees. Lithurians played music, blending instruments with subtle energy pulses to create gentle harmonies. Ethan watched and listened, clearly fascinated. When a Lithurian child approached him, carrying a small sculpture made of glowing crystal, he knelt down. "This is beautiful," he said, examining the delicate shapes. "Did you make this yourself?" The child nodded shyly. "Yes, but it is fragile. I am afraid it will break." Ethan smiled warmly. "Fragility does not make something less valuable, it makes it special. I will help you place it safely if you wish." He guided the child gently, placing the sculpture on a pedestal where it would not fall, all while explaining how balance and support worked. The child's eyes sparkled with pride and relief. Serencia observed silently. Each interaction, no matter how small, revealed more about humans than any report could. They were capable of care, understanding, and creativity. She began to reconsider her preconceptions. Yet, as the night deepened, a subtle tension returned. A minor misunderstanding occurred when a Lithurian aide misinterpreted a human phrase. Ethan had joked lightly about efficiency, but the aide thought he criticized their methods. Whispered concerns spread quickly among some palace staff. Serencia noticed immediately. She could see the fear and confusion, and she knew it could escalate if not addressed. Quietly, she approached Ethan. "Commander Drake," she said, her voice low, "it seems your words have caused concern, a misunderstanding." Ethan nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I did not intend offense. Let me correct it." He gathered the concerned aides and explained patiently. He clarified his meaning, emphasizing respect for their knowledge and methods. He demonstrated how his words were meant to encourage collaboration, not criticize. The aides relaxed, their initial concern fading. Smiles returned, and the atmosphere shifted back to one of cooperation and curiosity. Serencia watched, impressed. Humans, she realized, could diffuse tension not by force or command, but by patience, clarity, and empathy. Ruthlessness was not a universal trait, it was a choice. And in Ethan, she saw a choice she respected. As the gathering ended, Ethan walked beside Serenia in the moonlit gardens. The twin moons reflected off the crystal towers, casting shimmering patterns across the paths. "You handle misunderstandings well," Serenia said softly. "Most humans would not notice the subtle fear in others. They might overlook it entirely or react poorly." Ethan smiled. "Understanding comes from observation. Listening comes first, speaking second. If we act without knowing, we risk making problems worse." Serencia considered this. Perhaps her people could learn the same lesson. Perhaps humans could be allies, guides, and even friends rather than threats. "Your presence here challenges much of what I thought I knew," she admitted. "And yet, it gives me hope that trust can grow where fear once stood." Ethan looked at her with quiet respect. "Hope grows where people choose to understand one another, Princess. Fear fades when curiosity and care guide our actions." As they returned to the palace, Serenia felt a subtle shift within herself. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a future where humans and Lithurians worked side by side, sharing knowledge, culture, and wisdom. A future where misunderstandings were addressed with dialogue rather than suspicion. And she realized with a quiet certainty that Ethan Drake was not the ruthless human she had feared. He was a guide, a teacher, and a partner in exploration. The night sky stretched endlessly above them, filled with stars and possibilities. For Princess Serenia, the path forward was beginning to take shape, not one dictated by fear, but by understanding, collaboration, and the courage to see beyond old stories. The sun rose gently over Lithuria, painting the crystal towers in warm hues of gold and rose. Birds with iridescent feathers glided across the sky, their soft songs mixing with the hum of energy flowing through the city. Princess Serenia stood at the palace balcony, watching the humans prepare for the day's activities. Commander Ethan Drake had requested a tour of Lithuria's central energy hub. It was the heart of the planet, where the advanced systems of power distribution ensured that the cities and agriculture thrived in harmony with the environment. Ethan had explained that observing it firsthand would help humans and Lithurians explore new ways to collaborate, to combine their knowledge for mutual benefit. Serenia had agreed to accompany him. Her curiosity was stronger than caution now. She had seen Ethan's patience, his respect for her people, and his willingness to learn. And yet a small part of her remained wary. Collaboration could succeed, or misunderstandings could arise. The energy hub was vast, a complex lattice of crystal conduits, floating energy cores, and delicate monitoring systems. The Lithurian engineers moved with precision, their gestures graceful as they adjusted controls and monitored flow. Ethan moved among them quietly, observing and asking questions without interrupting their work. "Princess Serenia," he said, approaching her, "your people have designed an incredible system. The way it balances energy distribution naturally without waste is remarkable. I hope we may learn from it and perhaps offer insights from human engineering in return." Serenia nodded. "Our system has worked for centuries, but we welcome knowledge if it does not disrupt our balance. Humans are inventive. Perhaps your ideas can be of use." Ethan smiled. "I promise we will not interfere, only collaborate." Their first task was small. Ethan suggested improving the efficiency of energy storage in one section of the hub. He explained a human design principle, combining it with Lithurian energy flow concepts. The Lithurian engineers listened intently, some skeptical at first. They had worked with the system for years and were cautious about changes proposed by outsiders. Ethan demonstrated his idea, using simulations that showed the effect without physically altering the system. The energy flowed smoothly in the model, and the Lithurians began to see the potential. "This is clever," one engineer admitted. "It respects the balance of our network while improving efficiency." Ethan nodded. "Balance is essential. Human technology works best when it complements, rather than dominates, the systems it joins." Serenia watched quietly, impressed by how Ethan engaged with the engineers. He did not dictate or order. He suggested and explained, encouraging collaboration. The Lithurians began to ask questions, offer adjustments, and share their own insights. Slowly, a true partnership formed. Over the next hours, they worked side by side. Ethan guided a few adjustments, while the Lithurians implemented them carefully. The hum of energy grew steady and harmonious, and small lights along the conduits glimmered brighter as efficiency improved. Serenia found herself stepping closer, unable to resist joining the collaboration. She suggested a minor adjustment in energy flow to balance a section she had noticed was underperforming. Ethan listened carefully, analyzing her suggestion. "You are right," he said with a smile. "This will improve the system further. I am glad you pointed it out." The acknowledgement brought a small, genuine smile to Serenia's face. Humans, she realized, were not only capable of intelligence, they were capable of humility and of appreciating knowledge from others. As they worked, a young Lithurian apprentice approached, holding a small energy conduit. "Princess Serenia, Commander Drake," she said nervously, "I have an idea to stabilize the flow here, but I am unsure if it will work with the human design." Ethan knelt beside her, examining the conduit. "Let's try it together," he said. "Sometimes the best ideas come from combining knowledge." They tested her suggestion carefully. The flow stabilized perfectly, even improving efficiency beyond the initial plan. The apprentice's eyes shone with pride, and she bowed slightly in gratitude. Serenia felt a warm glow of satisfaction. Humans could inspire confidence, collaboration, and courage in others, qualities far more powerful than any physical strength. As the day continued, Ethan and Serenia moved to other sections of the hub. They analyzed energy patterns, adjusted storage systems, and designed simulations for future improvements. Each step required careful thought, discussion, and mutual respect. "Your people are wise," Ethan said at one point. "You understand energy in ways humans have only begun to explore. Your designs are elegant and they work in harmony with nature." Serenia considered his words. Humans often relied on force, speed, or brute calculation, but Ethan approached systems thoughtfully, seeking understanding rather than control. She felt a growing respect for him, not as a visitor but as a partner. By midday, a minor problem arose. A section of the conduit network was unstable, causing energy fluctuations. Lithurian engineers were concerned, worried the changes might have caused the instability. Ethan observed calmly. "Let's analyze the data first," he said. "We will find the cause and fix it without risk." Panic will not solve this. He reviewed the flow patterns, cross-referencing them with both human and Lithurian models. Slowly, he identified the source, a natural oscillation in the Lithurian energy flow that required a minor adjustment. "This is easy to correct," he explained. "We will redirect a small portion temporarily, and the flow will stabilize." The engineers followed his instructions carefully, and within moments, the energy stabilized completely. Serenia observed how he handled the situation, without alarm, without blame, and with clear reasoning. Humans, she realized, could handle challenges with intelligence and calm, not just force. After the issue was resolved, Ethan turned to Serenia. "Your people have taught me much today," he said. "I am grateful for your guidance. Collaboration is stronger than working alone." Serenia nodded, feeling a rare sense of pride. "And your actions have taught my people something as well. Patience, respect, and humility are as powerful as knowledge itself." As the day ended, they moved to a quiet chamber overlooking the hub. The room's glass walls reflected the setting suns, and the hum of energy flowed softly beneath their feet. Serenia watched Ethan as he reviewed the day's data, impressed by his focus and diligence. "You are different from what I expected," she said quietly. "I thought humans were harsh, sometimes cruel in pursuit of goals, but you are patient, considerate, and intelligent." Ethan smiled gently. "We are capable of many things, Princess. Some humans choose force, others choose understanding. I hope to show that choice matters more than nature or reputation." Serenia felt a stirring of admiration, stronger than simple curiosity. "It is refreshing to see someone lead without imposing." They continued to review the system, discussing potential improvements and future collaborations. Ethan's approach encouraged input from everyone in the room, human and Lithurian alike. Every idea was considered, every question answered, and every contribution respected. By nightfall, the energy hub was more efficient than it had been in years. Lithurian engineers celebrated quietly, sharing smiles and laughter. They had learned from humans, and humans had learned from them. Together, they had achieved something greater than either could alone. Serenia observed the results with pride and satisfaction. Humans, she realized, could be allies, collaborators, and friends. They could inspire confidence, respect, and creativity. She looked at Ethan, noticing the calm determination in his eyes, the quiet confidence in his posture. He was not ruthless. He was thoughtful, intelligent, and capable of building trust. As they walked back toward the palace, the twin moons rose over Lithuria's horizon, reflecting in the crystal towers. Serenia felt a sense of possibility, a hope she had not allowed herself before. Collaboration, understanding, and respect could bridge the gap between species. And she was beginning to trust humans, not blindly but with reason and observation. That night, Serenia reflected on the day's events. Ethan Drake had shown her that humans could be complex, capable of both error and brilliance. He had demonstrated patience, empathy, and intelligence in ways she had never expected. For the first time, she felt not fear, but curiosity and excitement about what humans and Lithurians could achieve together. Perhaps the galaxy was not a place of inevitable conflict and misunderstanding. Perhaps it could be a place of cooperation, learning, and growth. And she realized that trust, once earned, could open doors far beyond what caution alone could achieve. As Lithuria slept under the twin moons, Serenia's thoughts lingered on Ethan Drake. She wondered what he would think tomorrow, what ideas he might bring, and what challenges they could solve together. One thing was certain: humans were not the single-story creatures she had been warned about. They were capable of greatness if approached with patience, respect, and understanding. For Serenia, the day had proven something profound. Trust and collaboration could create achievements far greater than fear ever could. And she wanted to see how far it could go. The twin suns of Lithuria rose slowly, painting the crystal towers in golden and violet hues. The city shimmered like a jewel, reflecting light across the gardens, lakes, and streets. Princess Serenia stood at the balcony of the palace, looking down at the humans preparing for the day. She felt a sense of anticipation. Today was important, a day that could solidify the trust between humans and Lithurians. Commander Ethan Drake and his team were ready. Their plan was simple but ambitious. A full demonstration of human and Lithurian technology working together to optimize the energy hub for the entire city. Unlike previous days, this was not a small project or a demonstration. It was a collaboration that could set a new precedent for interspecies cooperation. Serenia descended to meet Ethan at the palace entrance. His calm, confident smile greeted her, but there was no arrogance, only focus and respect. "Princess Serenia," he said politely, "are you ready to see what we can accomplish together?" She nodded. "I am. Let us begin." The journey to the energy hub was filled with quiet conversation. Ethan asked questions about Lithuria's history, art, and philosophy, demonstrating sincere curiosity. Serenia found herself enjoying the discussion. His questions were not superficial. They were thoughtful, insightful, and showed a genuine interest in understanding her world. When they arrived at the hub, the Lithurian engineers were already assembling the human instruments, carefully following the designs Ethan had suggested. Small drones hovered around conduits, monitoring energy flow, while delicate devices recorded patterns in real time. "Remember," Ethan said softly to the engineers, "this is a partnership. Every idea matters. Every observation counts. Together, we will make the system better than it has ever been." The engineers nodded, inspired by his words. They had begun to trust him fully, seeing him not as a visitor or outsider, but as a collaborator and teacher. The project began with small adjustments, minor modifications in energy flow, sensor calibrations, and synchronization between Lithurian and human systems. Each step was carefully monitored and discussed, with Ethan explaining his reasoning clearly and respectfully. The Lithurians, initially cautious, began to contribute freely, offering improvements and suggestions that complemented the human designs. Princess Serenia watched from the observation deck, impressed by how smoothly the collaboration progressed. Ethan's approach had been steady, patient, and inclusive. Every time a problem arose, he calmly explained the options, weighing human and Lithurian methods equally. By midday, they reached the first major milestone. The energy flow across the city was more efficient than ever before. Minor fluctuations that had persisted for years were stabilized, and small energy leaks were corrected without altering the balance of the natural network. The Lithurian engineers cheered quietly, proud of what they had accomplished together. Even the most skeptical council members had to admit that human ingenuity, combined with Lithurian wisdom, had produced remarkable results. Serenia approached Ethan as he reviewed the data. "You have done more than I expected," she said. "Your people have shown wisdom, patience, and care, and you personally, Commander Drake, have led without forcing your ideas. You have inspired trust, not fear." Ethan bowed slightly. "Your Highness, trust is earned through understanding. Humans and Lithurians have much to learn from each other. Today proves that cooperation can create outcomes greater than either could achieve alone." The afternoon brought the final phase of the project, a demonstration of the full system under peak load conditions. Humans and Lithurians worked side by side, adjusting flows, monitoring sensors, and ensuring the network remained balanced. The energy pulsed through the conduits with a steady hum, stronger and more stable than ever. "Princess," Ethan said, pointing to a holographic display, "look at this. The energy is balanced across the city, efficiency is at its highest, and the network is resilient to fluctuations. Your systems and ours together have created something truly remarkable." Serenia studied the display, her heart swelling with pride. The project had succeeded beyond expectation, proving not only the strength of their collaboration, but also the potential for future cooperation between humans and Lithurians. A young Lithurian engineer approached, holding a glowing device. "Princess Serenia, Commander Drake," she said, her voice bright with excitement, "we did it. The system works perfectly." Ethan knelt beside her. "You did it. Your skill and insight made this possible. The devices are only tools. Your ideas are what made it work." The child's face lit up with pride. "Thank you, Commander Drake, and thank you, Princess Serenia, for trusting us." Serenia smiled, realizing that trust had been the key to this success. Without it, collaboration would have faltered, and the project might never have reached its potential. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the crystal towers, a ceremony was held in the palace gardens. Lithurian leaders, engineers, and citizens gathered to witness the results of human-Lithurian cooperation. Lanterns floated in the air, reflecting off the crystal surfaces, and the soft music of Lithurian instruments filled the atmosphere. Serenia took the stage beside Ethan. She addressed the crowd with calm authority. "Today, we have achieved something extraordinary," she said. "We have worked together with humans, not as conquerors or strangers, but as partners and collaborators. Their knowledge, combined with ours, has created a system stronger, more balanced, and more resilient than anything we could have built alone." The audience erupted in applause, their faces filled with wonder and respect. Ethan stood beside her, smiling humbly, allowing the Lithurians to take pride in their own contributions. "Humans can be many things," Serenia continued, "and today they have shown us their best. Patience, creativity, respect, and collaboration are the qualities that make them worthy partners, and this is only the beginning." Ethan finally spoke, his voice warm and clear. "Your Highness, Princess Serenia, it is an honor to work with your people. We have learned as much as we have taught. Today proves that understanding, cooperation, and trust can overcome fear and misunderstanding." Serenia glanced at him, her eyes thoughtful. "Yes, Commander Drake. And I have learned that judging a species, or a person, based on stories alone is never wise. Observation, patience, and openness reveal truths that fear cannot." The crowd cheered again, celebrating not just the success of the project, but the bond that had formed between two very different peoples. Humans and Lithurians had found common ground, not through force or persuasion, but through mutual respect and understanding. Later, in a quiet corner of the palace gardens, Serenia and Ethan walked together under the twin moons. The soft glow reflected in their eyes as the gentle night breeze stirred the trees. "You have exceeded every expectation," Serenia said softly. "I doubted humans before based on what I had been told, but you have shown me something different, something better." Ethan smiled. "Your Highness, I only acted as humans should, curious, respectful, and willing to learn. But I am glad my actions helped you see that our species is more than its reputation." Serenia nodded. "And I am glad I saw it for myself. Perhaps the galaxy is ready for more connections like this. Perhaps humans and Lithurians can explore, learn, and create together." Ethan glanced at her, eyes reflecting the soft moonlight. "I hope so. There is much we can achieve together if we choose understanding over fear." For the first time, Serenia felt a sense of excitement she had never known. The future was wide open, full of possibilities. Humans were no longer distant strangers. They were partners, collaborators, and perhaps even friends. The night deepened and the palace gardens grew quiet. Lanterns drifted lazily above the paths, casting warm, soft light. Serenia and Ethan paused near a small pool, watching the water ripple gently. "Commander Drake," Serenia said softly, "today has proven that trust is stronger than fear. That collaboration can create wonders no single species could achieve alone." Ethan nodded. "And that observation and understanding reveal truths stories cannot. Humans are capable of great things, but only when guided by curiosity, respect, and care." Serenia smiled, a genuine warmth spreading through her chest. "I believe this is only the beginning. Humans and Lithurians have much to learn from each other. Together we can build something extraordinary." Ethan extended his hand. "Then let us continue this journey, Princess, together." Serenia took his hand firmly, feeling the weight of possibility and hope in the gesture. "Yes, together," she agreed. Above them, the twin moons cast silver light over Lithuria, reflecting the promise of a new era. One where humans and Lithurians could collaborate, explore, and thrive, not as strangers, not as conquerors, but as equals. And in that quiet moment, Serenia understood a profound truth. Trust, respect, and curiosity could achieve what fear and suspicion never could. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging the union of two very different species. In that light, Princess Serenia saw the limitless potential of humans and of her own people. Together, they could reach beyond the known, explore the unknown, and shape a future brighter than any had imagined. As the night settled over Lithuria, one thing was certain. The story of humans and Lithurians had changed forever. And the galaxy had only begun to witness what could happen when curiosity, collaboration, and trust guided the actions of those willing to see beyond fear.